Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
After Jordan felt pressure from the coach, was there any physical changes about him?
Yes, he started having back acne, and he started falling ill, and started getting nosebleeds.
Do you know the effects of steroids?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
You blame Terry for the use of steroids on Jordan's part, correct?
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, I don't know anything about steroids, and he felt really pressured by the coach, and he threatened my son about if he didn't get better track times, he wouldn't be able to go to the school.
So it did not cross your mind at all from the time, from junior year to senior year, when Jordan's attitude, back acne, any flus and nosebleeds occurred, that he was taking steroids?
I just thought they were part of being a teenager.
When you were a teenager, did you have these symptoms? Because you were also a track athlete.
Yes, I had some acne, and then of course I was sick occasionally.
But not as much as Jordan, right?
No.
No further questions? Thank you, Your Honor.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. What are the symptoms of taking anabolic steroids such as EPO?
Well, taking like that kind of drug, I mean, you can get acne, liver problems, depression, extreme mood swings, and more.
Were all these symptoms present with Jordan?
Yes.
How obvious would these symptoms be to others?
Well, the symptoms would be like pretty obvious because males can develop baldness or a higher voice, and that would be pretty obvious if the coach cared about Jordan.
And what happens when an athlete takes EPOs when he sleeps?
When an athlete takes EPO, his heartbeat slows down because there's already enough red blood cell in his body, so the heart doesn't have to pump blood that hard, so the heart slows down, and that could cause a stroke or a heart attack.
No further questions, Your Honor.
I mean, in your statement, you said that there are pros in using steroids. What are those?
Well, after a hard workout, you recover a lot faster with using steroids.
So with all the knowledge you know about steroids, you have no idea how many have died, how many use.
I mean, most students or like athletes aren't gonna tell people they're using steroids.
What happens to the body when you use steroids?
You could get bone thickening,
Thickening?
thinning, and then you could also become depressed.
Any other?
Well, there are a lot.
No further questions.
Your Honor, I call to the stand Terry Swift.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
What is your drug policy?
I do not allow my students to take drugs, and I believe that someday they'll become a great athlete without using them. And I received a usage of steroids poster once, but I never hung it because it was disgusting.
And is this one of the posters given to you by the school?
Yes.
And why did you pressure Jordan so much?
Because as a coach, I pressure my students to perform better, and I also knew that Jordan did well under pressure.
Were you aware that Jordan was using EPO?
I was not aware of Jordan using EPO. I never thought he's that kid that would use EPO. I noticed a lot he was been sick, but almost all my students are sick, and the nosebleed are common occurrence.
And is it true that Jordan never signed the OIA form this season?
It's true that Jordan never signed OIA. I don't know how it happens. I didn't check. I just assumed that Jordan will sign the OIA form, just like he did other season.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Yeah, from testimonies from the best friend that you said right here, line 17. Line 17. Forget about a college scholarship. If you don't straighten up, I'm going to yank your East Side scholarship. And also from the mother's testimony that she said that Jordan was pressured, that you got angry at him for him getting second place. How do you explain that?
Because I didn't want his time to go to waste, and I'm worried about his future. So I had to put pressure on him so he could do best.
And you stated earlier from the examination that you knew that Jordan's OIA form was not signed, right?
Yeah.
So why did you let Jordan participate in track and field?
I didn't know that he didn't sign the form. I just assumed that he signed it. He signed the form like any other season that he did.
Do you have any knowledge of what EPO is?
Yes.
Do you know where to attain it? Really? Because can you go to the fifth of on page 25, line 24 right here. You said that either you can get it from the internet or almost any gym rat. So you do have knowledge of where to attain EPO, right? So with all this in mind, not hanging up the posters, Jordan not signing his form, what you said to him about getting second place and getting angry that you would yank away his scholarship, you still don't think that's negligent of you?
It is, but then I don't feel like the one to blame because his mom has the rights at his home, because mostly he did, like, some people do drugs at home, but there's no supervision at home. So she didn't know that she was drugs. I didn't know that she did drugs.
No further questions, John.
I call from the stand Jamie Haggard.
Will the witness please stand and be sworn by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I did. And does your school participate in random drug tests?
No, we can't really afford it. There's hundreds of athletes participating, so we can't really afford it on top of all the other expenses for this.
And why did some parents complain about kids?
I mean, they just said that he pushes the kids too hard, but I really go into those files and complaints, and I was once a basketball coach, and I received pretty much the same complaints, but the parents just need to realize that playing sports at a high school level isn't all high fives and smiles. ID number. So on April 11, 2008, the librarian gave me this paper with Jordan's name and student ID number on it, and the document was about enhancing one performance using EPO.
So you can guarantee that this is the cover sheet that was printed out alongside Jordan's article? No further questions, no?
So, if the coaches were taught that, then how come Terry Swift couldn't tell that Jordan was using steroids? Because he had all the effects on.
I'm not there, so I don't know.
And am I right that the coaches are required to explain the policy of substance abuse and get the OIA form signed by the students?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the OIA form, 14.13, and it's which the students are supposed to sign, but Jordan Simon never signed his. So were you aware of this?
I was aware of it, so I let Terry Swift know, and I tried to let him take care of it.
But under no conditions, like, aren't they supposed to sign it? Because if they don't sign it, then they can't participate in sports. So how come you let him continue?
I knew he was sick, and I knew he also signed all the OIA forms in the past, so I kind of assumed like it was okay.
But it's mandatory. And maybe if Jordan read this, then he would have rethought about using steroids. So in your statement, you said that you're willing to spend money on updating labs and hiring teachers, but you think that's more important than your students' health when you could be spending that money on having those random drug testings, because they're only effective if you keep doing them.
It is because the teachers are there to teach the kids about their health and not to use the drugs.
But I guess sometimes the teachers can't tell, so if you had these random drug testings, wouldn't they be able to detect it better?
Yes and no, because like I said, they're not always effective. And really, if a kid wants to do drugs, they'll find a way to do it.
No further questions.
Raise that up.
I call to the stand Aubrey Brady.
Witness, please stand, be sworn by the bailiff.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
What's your academic?
Well, I earned my bachelor in science degree, first studies in 1985 at the University of Montana. And after obtaining my degree, I actually started teaching physical education at Portland High School. And in 1991, I received my master's in science in sports.
Do
a student were to use EPO, would you be able to tell?
Well, not really, because most of the students can hide it very, very well.
So there's really no reason for them to suspect him of using EPO?
Well, no.
Do you have a reason for believing that, or you just saying no?
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of personal what the kid uses, and we can't really tell him. Well, we can tell him if he's using drugs. It's our duty to tell him. So, but most of the time, like I said, kids hide it very well, and you have to respect their privacy.
No further questions about that.
Both the prosecution and defense have rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their final arguments. Please remember, what the attorneys say is not evidence. However, do listen closely. They are intended to aid you in understanding the case. Prosecution, you may begin.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, throughout this entire trial, we have proven multiple times that the defendant, Terry Swift, had indeed been negligent and encouraged the use of drugs towards Jordan Simon. From the unsigned OIA form to the extreme pressure applied onto Jordan, the defendant even committed perjury, saying that he didn't know how to obtain steroids, even though in his statement he did say he knew how to use it. My client, Kelly Simon, had no possible way of watching over Jordan Simon, since she had to work 3 jobs, being able to put food on the table to support them both. Thank you.
Defendant, you may proceed with your closing argument.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the jury, today you've heard the testimonies of my client, Terry Swift, and being falsely accused of the death of Jordan Simons. I would like to remind you, or refresh your mind, of the important facts that happened today throughout this whole case. These facts include how my client, Terry Swift, never handed or gave the drugs to the deceased, Jordan Simons. Also, no one had physical evidence of, wait, I already said that, my bad. Both Morgan Pierce and Jordan Simons had the same talk with Terry Swift, but one decided to use the drugs and one did not decide to use the drugs. And for what reason? They both had the same pressure, but both had different mindsets. The mother, Kelly Simons, although she was working 3 jobs, she didn't have supervision of her child, Jordan Simons, which was probably a reasoning of why he is dead now. Also, she said that teenagers go through the phase of acne or back acne or having more hair, but I don't believe any of us in this courtroom have gone through that. I rest my case.
Members of the jury, you have heard all of the testimony concerning this case. It is up to you to determine the facts. You and you alone are the judges of the fact. Once you decide what facts the evidence proves, you must then apply the law as I give it to you to facts as you find them.